Alright, hey everybody, it's me. I'm finally going to show you my mapping for the Launchpad for Traktor. Right now I have it at Traktor 2.10. And first off, I want to apologize for the wobbly filming because this is shot with my iPad and I'm holding it in my hand, so it's gonna be pretty bad. But anyways, okay, let's get right to it. I don't want to make this video too long. So basically I have this mapping that I've done for the Launchpad. I think it's pretty good, especially for such a small, tiny controller that can fit into anywhere. And it's for Traktor, so I have a bunch of controls. So as you can see here, I have Traktor 2.10, and I have 3 regular decks and a remix deck over here. That's kind of like the way I decided to do the mapping. 3 decks I think is more than enough, but I could make a version with 4 decks instead. So basically, let me go through the layouts. Now, the Launchpad has an 8x8 grid, but if you divide that by blocks of 4, so you have 4 blocks of 16 buttons over here. So basically, this is deck A, this is deck C, this is deck B, and this is deck D. So I have A, B, and C. These are track decks, and then D is a sample deck. Alright, so I have a bunch of pages too. These are used for different pages and different modes and stuff. And these are basically for the browse. So first off, let me talk about the browse, because this is a pretty easy one. So I have the up and down over here. So if I start hitting it, you'll see that the browse window goes up full screen, and then you can browse whatever you want. And once you reach something, you can just hit either A, B, C, or D, or I think it's A, C, B, and D. I don't remember exactly. Let's try it. So right now, let's see this one. This one should be a C. So I'm gonna look here. Yep, loaded into C. There you go. It's on this one. And let's say I want to load a different one into deck B. I go here and then click on B over here, and now it's loaded into B. Okay. So that's pretty easy. And these ones are basically used to go through your favorites. I like to have favorites because it's easier than just going through the list tree. So basically I have different favorites over here that I can just scroll through with these 2 fingers. And then wherever I'm at, I can just go up and down on it. And I think if you want to close it without doing anything, you just click the shift button or the flux button. Okay, never mind. Maybe not. I don't remember. Just hit space, I guess. Okay, so let me talk about the shift button and flux button, all that stuff. So right now I have, actually, you know what, let me just load 4 proper tracks, not just little loops. So let me do this over here. I'm just gonna do it with the mouse because it's gonna be easier. Okay, let's say here, over here. So let's put this one into A, next one into C, next one into B, and then D. I already have a couple of samples here just to show proof of concept. So as you can see, I already have a bunch of hotcues on each track. Okay, so now you see like a bunch of lights went up on the grid. So let me talk about these in a bit more detail. Okay, so like I said, let's imagine a 4x4 right here. That's a deck. So everything I'm going to explain for this one is going to apply exactly to this one and this one. Okay, so let's talk here. Now we have the 4x4 over here, and we have a line over here, and we have these 8 yellow illuminated buttons, and these are basically the hotkeys from 1 to 8, right? So if I do this over here, it's 1, 2, all that good stuff. I don't know why. Yeah, volume is pretty low, but it doesn't matter. So you can see here, I'm going through all 8 with these buttons over here. So that's pretty simple, it's pretty obvious. If you want to delete a hotcue, you basically hold the shift button, which is this one over here. You hold the shift and then you pick whatever hotcue you want to delete. I don't want to delete right now because I worked really hard to hotcue these tracks, so I'm not going to delete anything, but just trust me. So now onto the second half of the 16 grid. we basically have a play button, play pause. So when it's in play, it's red to show you that the deck is actually playing, and then you hit it again, and it's gonna go back to green, and it's gonna be paused. It's pretty simple. And then at the bottom here we have loop sets. So I have it set as let me remember. I have it 2, 4, 8, and 16. So I have a loop of 2, loop of 4, loop of 8, loop of 16. And also, if I want, I can adjust that size with these two. This is increase and decrease over here. So as you can see, I can increase or decrease as much as I want. But I have these ones over here just as a simple instant, like, yeah, 2-beat loop, 8-beat loop, all that good stuff. Okay, so now we've explained everything. The last thing to explain for a deck is the shift button. As you can see, when I hit the shift, there's an extra light that comes on. And basically, when I hit this button, it says that there's a loop active. Now, if you look at the deck, you see that there's this active loop button. This button is indicated here, so that way you know if there's a loop or not activated, and you can deactivate it if you want. Turn it off or turn it on by hitting it. And when you don't have the shift on, I forgot to mention, this gray button here that doesn't have a light actually works as the cue monitor on or off. So that way, if it's yellow, it means that there's a cue on, and then you turn your cue off. So that's pretty much it. Now the last thing to explain about it in the shift is that when you shift, these turn into move sizes, and move increase and move decrease, but basically go through. So let me kind of demonstrate. So right now I have shift, and I'm going to hit on this button over here, which is, when it was in the loop mode, it was the loop 16. When I hit the shift button and hit this one like this, it's going to set it to a move. But let me just show you the move right now. So yeah, there you go. Let me do this again. So I have it move 32, 16, 8, and 4. And I can actually move it. Let me just play it here. I have to loop it first because I moved the loop over here, as you can see. But basically I have, you know what, let's just make a small loop. You see here. And now let's move it. There you go. I'm moving it like this. And then you can decide the size of movement. This is in 32 steps. So you see at the bottom it goes pretty fast. And you can go take it down to a 4, as it says, and just scroll through with 4. It's fun because it still stays in sync and stuff, and it also makes you scroll pretty fast. So it's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it for the deck controls. And let me talk a little bit about these buttons over here. So this one is basically for the track control. So when I have this one on, this is the first page. I get these 3 over here. And the second button is for freeze mode. So once I hit the freeze mode, I get freeze 16 slices of freeze for each deck. And as you can see right now, my loop is freezing. So I can do shit like that. So that's pretty cool. And I have it for all 3 decks, because obviously the remix deck doesn't have freeze, but I can still play the samples if I want. Now, I realized that when I'm in freeze, sometimes the loop that I want to play and then the loop that I want to fuck around with the freeze is not the same size. I want it to be kind of smaller. So I decided to make a second page for the sample deck, which is over here, where I have the loop size increase and decrease for each deck. So the red corresponds with the red, green with the green, and green with the green. So I can do this. You see the loop gets bigger and the samples get longer. And I can do this, shortens it. There you go. There you go. And pretty much the same for these two as well. And these buttons are basically the same as the other decks. You have a play pause, and you have a loop increase decrease and the loop sizes and stuff. This is remnants of when I had the 4-deck layout. I decided just to keep them because I didn't really need any other space, and I didn't want to remove them because I might add them back again, so I just decided to leave them. You can still use it for like the actual deck play and pause if you're looping stuff, and yeah, so that works. So basically this is for the freeze mode. So we have the track control. Let me just get rid of this because it looks kind of confusing. We have the track control with 3 decks, and then we have the freeze mode over here. Let me just yeah, let's keep that. So these two are completely independent from the remix deck and the loop control pages. So you can go through the 2 pages over here if you want, and then over here you can go through these 2 different pages over here if you want. Now there's a couple more buttons. So this one, like we said, is the shift button. As you can see, it indicates when the loop is active, and also if you have the cue on, it'll switch to the loop states, and the LED for the cue active is going to be completely gone. And then you bring it back, so you can kind of give it a visual indication. Obviously, like I've done this for really internal mixing. I guess some of these controls you won't need really if you have like a browse or something. I don't know, it depends on your controller, I guess. But I found that this is perfect for me. And then the last one over here is pretty much just a set it at the beginning and forget it. This one sets everything for like the initial setup. So when I first boot into Traktor, sometimes like the decks are not synced, or the tempo is not properly set to master, or flux is on, flux is off, whatever. So I basically hit this once. I should hit it a couple of times because the first time I hit it, it turns flux on, as you can see, and then I hit it again, turns flux off. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you hit the freeze mode, now freeze mode can work in 2 ways. If you have flux mode on, it'll always keep in time, depending on where you hit it. It'll just always go back to where it was supposed to go. But if you have flux mode off, this is when flux mode is on. If you have flux mode off, you see flux mode off. It's hard to tell right now because of there you go. So it's up to you if you want to use it that way. I prefer personally to use it and let it go back to where it was supposed to go. It's more fun for me. Okay. So we said this is the track deck control, this is the flux mode, this is the shift button, and this is the set it and forget it. Okay, so let's talk a bit more about controlling deck loading and unloading. So I've made it in a way where I think this is actually part of the settings of Traktor, not with this controller, where you can't load a deck if the deck is still running. So right now deck A is running, so if I go down and I want to put another track and I hit on deck A, it'll tell me deck locked, stop deck to load new track. So now I can do that. But once I do that, now it's done. I could load another track easily, but let's say I want to empty the deck completely. There's no button really to just like empty the deck. But you could map it. So I decided to map the shift plus the A over here, or whatever deck you want to empty. So when I do this, bam, it's out. So that's pretty much it. Now let's talk about the remix deck a little bit. So as we said, there's the remix deck over here, and then there's the loop control for when you're in the freeze or whatever, depending on how you want to use it. So right now I only have, on the first page, I only have 2 samples. But basically these ones are the ones that control all 4 pages of 16 that you have with Traktor, because as you know, you have, let me find my mouse here. Where's my mouse? Oh, there it is. Okay, so you have 4 times 4, so that's 16, and that's times 4 pages. So I pretty much have it mapped as well, and these are the 2 buttons that control it. Now, when this one is red and this one is dark, that means it's in the topmost page, and you go down a little bit, go down a little bit more, go down a little bit more, so that's your 4 pages right there. And you see the color kind of shifts gradually from the red on top to the red at the bottom. So this is the first page, and this is the second page, third page. Unfortunately it's empty right now, I don't have anything, but you know what, let's find something to load in it. So let's say here, oops, no, that's not the right place. What do I want to do? Yeah, okay, there we go. So right now I'm dropping it with the computer. Bam, see, popped up. So I can load it here. If it'll play. Doesn't want to play this loop. Doesn't matter. Just to show you. So I can go down, down. There we go. So that's pretty much it. I think that's everything really. Nothing to it much. Oh yeah, and I've hidden a secret page on the Launchpad that I haven't used yet, but I'm thinking of doing like 1 button effects processing and stuff like that. So basically, to access that page, you hit the Shift plus the settings button, and you basically get all 3 decks completely empty. You can map it to do whatever you want. Hopefully I'll have time eventually to make a proper documentation for this Launchpad mapping, if you actually feel like it deserves it. If you find that it's perfectly fine like that, then I just won't do it. But I might be able to do a bunch of effects and stuff. I remember at one point I had like some delay and reverb sweeps and stuff like that with these buttons. It was pretty cool, but I feel like having knobs is a lot better. And to get back, just click on whatever you want, and then to go back into it, you can do it like that. So that's pretty much it. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you download it, and I hope you do great shows with it. Thanks. Bye bye.